We begin the news with election matters in southwest Nigeria, where the Lagos State Governorship Elections Petition Tribunal has upheld the recent election or return of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State as the duly elected governor of the state. In a unanimous judgment read by Justice Mikal Abdullahi on behalf of the three-man panel on Monday, the tribunal held that the petitions by Badebo Rhodes Viva and the Labour Party and Olajide Adeniro and the People's Democratic Party lack merit, and the same accordingly is dismissed. In reaching the verdict, the court first dwelt on the preliminary objections raised by the parties before considering the issues raised for determination. The tribunal entertained the question of whether it had the competence and jurisdiction to hear the petition. Justice Abdullahi answered this question in the affirmative and held that this issue had already been resolved at the preliminary objection stage. Well, joining us on the news to discuss this some more is a constitutional lawyer and public affairs analyst Kabir Akingbolu. We're also joined by Princess Abiodun Islamiat Oyefusi, the deputy governorship candidate of the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time. Let's start with you, Kabir. Now that the tribunal has ruled, what are the political implications of the Lagos State Governorship Election Tribunal's affirmation of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's re-election and the dismissal of the petitions of the aforementioned parties?
Well, if you look at it very well, first of all, I would like to say that a court of law is different from a market meeting. It's different from a club meeting. It's different from a game of chess, where you keep your game secretly. You are in court of law. You have to put your cards on the table for everybody to see. The opponent who puts his own. Then it's not a matter of hide and seek. You put all you have. You put all your arsenal. You devour them at once, so that you can use it to finish the case of the opponent. So as a petitioner, you have to bring all the arsenal in your kitty, so that you can fight the respondents whom you are challenging to have been unlawfully returned. In this way, the law has imposed a lot of duties and obligations on you to do. So if you don't meet all these obligations, then it means your case will fail. Or when the evidence you have tendered is equal, the same way to the evidence tendered by the respondent, you have lost your case. You must be able to lead cogent, credible, and admissible evidence that is so weighty and stronger in law that the imaginary scale of justice will sit in your favor to the extent that the tribunal will be moved, or we have no choice than to find for you. If you look at the grounds upon which the petition itself is based, one, they talk of qualification. They say the governor is not qualified to contest for the election. They said the deputy governor is also not qualified to contest for the election. All these primarily, I think, they are pre-election matter. However, the court, considered them on the merit and decided that, well, all the grants are not sustainable because they have not been proved. For instance, on the issue of non-qualification of Sanwo-Olu as the governor to contest for the position of governorship, they say he failed to possess a minimum requirement of secondary school certificate. And they subpoenaed somebody from Ijebu, who brought the results of the school where Sanwo-Olu attended in 1981, the master list, and showed them that this man was our student. He passed. He went to that school. He attended the school. He possessed the certificate. He tendered. Unfortunately, this was their witness, and he gave evidence against them. In law, they call it admission against interest. If you call a witness and the witness is giving evidence against you, and that evidence is stronger than any evidence from anybody at all. So the tribunal refused that their grant and said it has not been proved. They said that the deputy governor has dual citizenship, and by virtue of section 29 of the Constitution, it said that the fact that you have citizenship of another country does not deny you. So far, your father or mother was born in Nigeria, either of them was born in Nigeria or they are Nigerians, then you are a Nigerian naturally. And this will not deny you of contesting for any position in Nigeria, and the tribunal agreed with the lawyers to Sanwo-Olu these are the periphery of what actually happened there. Maybe as we go further, we'll touch other areas of the judgment.
All right, I'll come to you, Prince Abiodun. I think there's been some confusion because some people are mixing up the petition and the judgment for the PDP and the petition and judgment for Gbadebo Rhodesweaver, who filed his petition on his own. And we have to make clear that the earlier petition was not about Labour Party, neither was it about Gbadebo Rhodesweaver. The only mention of the judge or the court, the judges, about LP and Gbadebo Rhodesweaver was that PDP and Abdulaziz Adeniro should not have joined another loser in the persons of LP and Gbadebo Rhodesweaver as fifth and sixth respondents in their own petition. But we can confirm on the news tonight that the tribunal dismissed Gbadebo Rhodesweaver's petition. Madam, this is another court sitting which took hours before the judgment was passed. What's your reaction to this judgment? I mean, your ticket is officially has been ended. What's next? Are you appealing?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here. I think you're very right on the very first point that you made, and I'm quite surprised as the gentleman on the program mixing the two petition up. We have absolutely zero thing to do with PDP's petition, and the court made that absolutely clear that we should not have been joined to that petition. And our petitions were very, very straightforward and were very clear. The tribunal law itself is very, very clear. The basis on which the tribunal in Nigeria is set up, the law is very clear that where somebody alleges irregularity in polling units, such person must prove such irregularity to succeed at the petition at the tribunal. And we have done that. We did that. We brought a lot of evidence to the court that polling units, elections did not take place in most of the polling units in Lagos State. People were being beaten. People were being chased away. We brought witnesses to the court. We brought the results to the court. So we followed that tribunal case to the latter, to the law to the latter. And I'm speaking as a law graduate from a prestigious law school. This is what the bulk of our case. We did not come to court to say somebody didn't have WAEC or they didn't have this. That was not our case. Our case was like, there was not an election in Lagos State. And the whole world sees it. Even the reporters of international observers were beaten at polling units. We brought all the evidence to the court. So for the tribunal to now say that we didn't have any evidence or our petitions cannot be sustained, I don't understand that. It is, I mean, until I read the judgment in entirety, I cannot tear it down or pick one case. But we will sit down, my principal will sit down with a lawyer and decide the next course of action. Are we going to appeal? What did the judgment say? What was the holes that was picked in our cases? But we believe that we did what the law requires us to do. We're not there to play. We were there to prove that INEC did not do its job. Elections did not take place in most of this local government. This is our evidence. We brought cartons and cartons of evidence. We submitted it to the petition, to the tribunal, and that was there for them to consider. But in their home-based judgment, they have decided that the petition cannot be sustained or it's not strong enough, so it was struck out. But we will look at it and then take the next step. My principal will look at it and then takes the next step based on the advice of the lawyers, of the parties, and of the team together. Then the second case that they mentioned that we said, so I'm sad, did not have dual nationality. That was not the case at all. What we are saying, it's very clear in the Nigerian constitution. It's very, very clear. What we were saying is that Amsat swore allegiance to another country, and it's very clear in our constitution in section. If you just give me 1 minute, I'll call up that section. In section 182, subsection 1, which is subject to the Constitution Section 28. This is the point we were trying to prove. The tribunal could have clarified this for us. It got nothing to do with their nationality. The tribunal cannot give a ruling. Did you hear the ruling from the tribunal? They were saying the ruling that came forth, the court says that he did not seek the job with his dual nationality passport, but with his Nigerian passport. That even makes the constitution more complicated to the ordinary people. The law is supposed to be simplified for people to understand. If the Constitution says this, the responsibility of the judges is to interpret the law.
Quite interesting.
And for me, that judgment was not an interpretation of the Constitution.
Anyway, we can confirm, like we said, the judgment for the Gbadebo Road's Vivo petition was concluded in about the last 45 to 55 minutes, ago. But what little I know about that, Madam, is that the tribunal held, it was a unanimous judgment that your principal's or governorship candidate's petition is devoid of merit. That's how much we can say for now. But I'll go back to, but before I go to Kabir, did you present evidence, for instance, if you're talking about issues of voting, election irregularities, did you present evidence polling unit by polling unit? From the polling units you had a complaints over? Princess.
What the court did while because I attended some of the most of the sitting, what the court did was limited us to 35 witnesses, but we presented documentation evidence of so many polling units in Lagos State where election did not take place, where there were irregularities, where polling unit agents were chased away, where people were beaten, where people were attacked at the polling units, and where the result that was declared was different from the result that was given to our agents at the polling unit. We submitted all of that. And for me, for my understanding, in my little understanding of the law, is that this is the purpose of the tribunal. The tribunal is to prove that INEC did not conduct, it's for us, the petition to prove that INEC did not conduct election. There were irregularities.
Thank you, Princess.
That is the purpose of the tribunal.
Thank you, Princess. Let me quickly bring Kabir. Kabir, how will this tribunal decision impact, the political landscape and the dynamics in Lagos State?
Come again?
Yeah. How will the tribunal's judgment today for both parties, in fact for all the parties, impact the political landscape in Lagos State?
Well, I can tell you it cannot do anything for now. Whatever it does or is presumed to have been done is just a pyrrhic one, or a temporary one, in the sense that it's a governorship election and the parties have right of appeal to Court of Appeal from there to Supreme Court. We still have another 120 days, that's 4 months before it can be determined. We have 60 days between now to 60 days that the Court of Appeal, we have to determine it. And after that time, another 60 days for the Supreme Court to determine it. So it is not yet to Uhuru. This is a court of first instance, and all hope is not lost, probably. So until when the last word is said by the Supreme Court before either of the party, if Labour Party or PDP goes on appeal to Court of Appeal, if they win, then APC will also want to appeal to the Supreme Court. So we are still keeping our fingers crossed and looking at the way the ball will roll. But like Madam has said, there are 2 or 3 points he raised that I would like to talk about. First of all, he talked about the allegation that no election in Lagos State. In law, that I know, there are a lot of decisions. One may not agree with it, but so far the Court of Law has spoken. There is nothing anybody can do. And through case law, we establish other laws and procedures for our elections.
All right.
When there is an allegation...
I'm afraid we don't have all the time to take everything you have to say, but we'll have to leave it at that for now. And of course, thank you for your time, and to Princess as well. Thank you for your time. We'll be watching the space to see what the party is, both LP and PDP, do going forward. Thank you very much. We've had Kabir Akingbolu, public affairs analyst, and Princess Abiodun Islamiat Oyefusi, who's a deputy governorship candidate of Labour Party in Lagos State.